This meeting will come to order. 4 years ago, we witnessed one of the worst assaults on democracy in American history. It's a day that forever changed our nation. On January 6, 2021, a violent mob, summoned by a bitter, defeated former president, ransacked the Capitol complex, leading to the deaths of 5 police officers and injuries to more than 140 others. Later that evening, we returned to the Capitol and certified the 2020 election results. That should have been the death knell of Donald Trump's big lie, his baseless claim that the election had been stolen. But within weeks, the bipartisan resolve to defend our democracy was gone. My Republican colleagues washed their hands of what happened on January 6 and have shown zero interest in holding President Trump accountable. Meanwhile, the president continues to falsely claim that rioters who violently assaulted police officers were, quote, hostages, that was his word, hostages, who were assaulted by our government, his words again. He's even considering financial compensation for the individuals involved in these heinous crimes. Republicans are trying to rewrite the history of January 6 as a tale of martyrdom and courage in an effort to whitewash what actually happened, what we saw with our own eyes. But make no mistake, January 6 was a stain on our democracy and an attempted coup on our government. We cannot allow the president and his supporters to dishonor the heroic sacrifices, and I use that word advisedly, heroic sacrifices of law enforcement officers who protected us and defended our democracy that day. To all the law enforcement officials in the room and those who are following this hearing, from the bottom of my heart, I extend my deepest thanks and appreciation for your service, for risking your life to protect mine and others. To add insult to injury, within hours of his inauguration earlier this year, President Trump granted clemency, full unconditional pardons to more than 1,500 who descended upon the Capitol on January 6. This decision led to the immediate release of these rioters who were convicted of violent assaults on police officers. Now Justice Department attorneys are arguing that President Trump's blanket pardon should apply to serious crimes committed by these same insurrectionists after January 6. And President Trump continues to elevate those who have whitewashed January 6 and defended the rioters. A classic example, Ed Martin, the interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Martin helped lead the so-called Stop the Steal movement to overturn the 2020 election. He was on the ground of the U.S. Capitol on January 6 and claimed the insurrection was, and I quote, like Mardi Gras. Like Mardi Gras. Those are the words of the interim U.S. Attorney of the District of Columbia. Timothy Hale Cusinelli, a pardoned insurrectionist whose prosecutors identified as a, quote, white supremacist Nazi sympathizer, actually received an award from Martin, who described Cusinelli as a, quote, extraordinary man and extraordinary leader. I think there's a chart here with Cusinelli's image. You can draw your own conclusion of who he's trying to emulate. Or how about Kash Patel, now the FBI director, who infamously organized and recorded January 6 rioters singing the national anthem in the D.C. jail. One of Mr. Patel's choir boys was Julian Cater, assaulted a police officer named Brian Sicknick, who suffered multiple strokes and died after the attack. Many of the January 6 perpetrators have shown no remorse for the long-term mental and physical damage they inflicted on their victims and have engaged in a new crime spree since the insurrection. Take Edward Kelly. He was convicted in his home state of Tennessee last November of conspiracy to murder FBI officials who investigated the January 6 offenses. And just 2 short months ago, January 6 rioters held a press conference outside the Capitol to announce their intent to sue the Justice Department for prosecuting them. The group paraded around the Capitol, following the route they took on January 6 and chanting, "Whose house? Our house." After the press conference, former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio was even arrested outside the Capitol for assault. Tarrio also posted a video of himself stalking officers who defended the Capitol on January 6 and calling them cowards. We're going to hear more about that today. This sounds like a man who thinks he's above the law and expects to be bailed out by President Trump for every crime he commits. Shortly after receiving Trump's pardons, dozens of former January 6 offenders joined forces on social media to compile and publicize the identities of at least 124 individuals involved in their convictions, including prosecutors, judges, and FBI agents. The post, which was received at least 60,000 views, includes names, photos, and disparaging remarks. The threat to these public servants is clear. Government employees should have no fear for their or their family's safety simply for doing their jobs. And we in Congress have an obligation to honor the sacrifice of the men and women who bravely defended the Capitol on January 6th. They deserve better than this.